Peace. The reason for this video is because I want to give out a little bit of information in regards to Mercury Retrograde. Mercury Retrograde, well, first of all, Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun, and it has a very strong effect on our planet. Now, many people don't understand that the planets that are in the cosmos send energy, and we channel energy and transmit energy on the planet from the planets that are located within our solar system. Now, Mercury, according to the astrological school of thought, is the communicator. Mercury is called the messenger. And this is important because Mercury governs all commerce, all messages, all forms of communication, all forms of thought processes, ways of thinking, and ideas here on this planet. Now, every 3 months or so, Mercury goes retrograde. And Mercury is going retrograde for the first time this year, actually next week, on the 12th of March. The reason why this is important is because it's going to have an effect on humanity in general. Look for things to slow down. This is the time of the shaman. This is what we call this in the astrological doctrine. When Mercury goes retrograde, this is the time that the shamans do their work. And what we mean by this is, see, this is the time where commerce slows down and everybody's thrown off here in the third dimensional matrix. And many of you that know about Mercury retrograde think that it's something negative, and people get scared and say, oh, Mercury's going to go retrograde. What are we going to do? But really, Mercury going retrograde, everything has a reason and a season. In the cosmos, and as above, so below, here on the earth, everything has a reason and a season. So when Mercury goes retrograde, this is the time that the shamans do their work. See, this is the time where you can tap into certain astral forces that normally you might not have been able to tap into because of the direct Mercury. When Mercury goes retrograde every 3 months, it's a time of reflection, a time of understanding. Yes, understanding. This is a time to go within. This is a time to communicate with the higher beings. This is a time to communicate with the higher self. This is not a time to take action during Mercury retrograde. You should not start anything new during Mercury retrograde. It's a time to reflect and to plan out those things that you want to do once Mercury goes back direct. Another thing that Mercury retrograde is good for is to actually reflect on and to redo things that you might not have prepared properly in the past, because Mercury retrograde deals with the past. Mercury direct deals with progression in the future. So when Mercury goes retrograde, this is a time of reflection, dealing in the past, and just the overall getting an understanding and achieving enlightenment. Now, some people are born during Mercury retrograde and they have Mercury retrograde in their chart. And people that have Mercury retrograde in their chart are different from people that have Mercury direct in their chart. I come from a mother that has Mercury retrograde, so I know a lot about Mercury retrograde in the chart. And these people are shamans. They're misunderstood. I mean, they're totally misunderstood. But at the end of the day, these people, their communication methods are misunderstood because they're different. People that are born with Mercury retrograde normally are higher beings that came back to this plane to bring information, and they're shamans. So many don't understand their forms of communication. So I know a lot about Mercury retrograde. Those of you that have Mercury retrograde in your chart, this is a time where things will go good for you. This is a time where things will come your way. This is a time where your communications will be understood. So it's important that you get a natal reading so that you can learn all about Mercury retrograde, and you can learn the pros and cons to Mercury retrograde. But basically, it's coming up next week. So if you want to learn how it's going to affect you, it's going to be in the planet of Pisces, See, many of the Western astrologers are saying that Mercury is going to be retrograde in Aries. But as you guys know, I'm a 13 sign astrologer. I deal with a very accurate form of astrology. It's very accurate. And in the form of astrology of 13 signs, it's going to be in Pisces. So this is going to be a time of deep karma and deep spiritual truths are going to come out. Pisces is a very ancient sign. So, I mean, look at this time for a lot of spiritual awareness is going to come to the forefront. And it's deep that the first Mercury retrograde is taking place in 2012 in Pisces. I mean, you just don't understand how deep Pisces is. And everybody has Pisces in their chart, so it's up to you to get your natal reading done so that you can figure out exactly how Mercury retrograde is going to affect you, because it's going to affect everybody different. And this is why you got to have a thorough knowledge of yourself so that you can learn how to work with the planetary energies as they take place, because we're also going through 2 other retrogrades in the cosmos. We're going through a Mars retrograde and a Saturn retrograde. And I'm not going to go into that information here in this video, but the point I'm making here is that if you learn how to work these cycles and these planets, beloved, and you learn how to work them within your chart, I mean, you will be like the young people say, like, you'll be a beast out here. Like, for real, you'll be a beast out here as far as being able to manifest things without having to, like, really, like, submit to any type of bullshit in the matrix, any type of, I mean, you'll just be, like, on a whole nother level as far as, like, your vibrational level. You'll be able to bring things into this reality because you know the planets, and you know the cycles, and you know how they work. So it's important that you learn how to work these planetary cycles. I mean, I call it working rituals. You got to learn how to work these rituals. See, that's the real work that we must do. We have to learn how to work the planetary cycles and work the rituals. If you want to get more information in regards to Mercury retrograde, I do spiritual consultations. I would suggest that you send me an email, especially if you've already got a natal chart from me and you want to know how Mercury is going to affect you. Shoot me an email, and we can work out something to where I will walk you through a consultation to help you to learn exactly how Mercury retrograde is going to affect you and which aspect of your life, because it affects everybody different based on which house is going to fall in your astrological chart. So shoot me an email on that information. But overall, I mean, during Mercury retrograde, one thing I want to point out to just anybody, it's not a good time to start things during this time, beloved. Especially if you don't have Mercury retrograde in your chart. Now, if you have Mercury retrograde in your chart, which means that you were born during Mercury retrograde, then for you, yes, it's a good time. It's a good time to initiate new things. But it's still other factors in that too. But overall, it's a good time for those who are born with Mercury retrograde in their chart to initiate a lot of good things into their life. But for those of you that have Mercury direct, which is like probably like over 70% of the population are born with Mercury direct in their chart, it's not a good time to start new things. This is a time of understanding. If you want more information, visit my website at 13signsastrology.com or shoot me an email at 13signsastrology@gmail.com, and I'll be glad to walk you through a brief consultation in regards to the Mercury retrograde and how it's going to affect you. I thank you for watching this video. Have a prosperous day. Peace.